process of digestion begins. There are three major classes of foods which require digestion: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. The purpose of digestion is to remove the linkages in the large compounds to three small units, which are achieved by hydrolysis, the splitting of compounds by water, and digestive enzymes accelerate this process of digestion. And each enzyme has its specific role in breaking down of a particular compound by biochemical reactions. You might not want to know about this watery and slimy stuff, but you found out that the saliva plays an important role in digestion. It is secreted during mastication of food by 4 pairs of salivary glands inside dog's mouth.
The 4 salivary glands are the parotid, mandibular, sublingual, and zygomatic glands.
The saliva itself is in a slightly acidic condition, and the mucus inside it, which makes us very effective lubricant and allows swallowing easier. Following to the mouth, there is esophagus that joins the pathway from the mouth to the stomach.
Peristaltic waves in the esophagus push food towards the stomach.
Stomach. There are 2 functional parts of stomach, proximal and distal. It acts as a reservoir to allow food to be taken in as meals rather than continuously, and it initiates the digestion of protein and regulates the flow of material into the small intestine. On the interior surface of the stomach, there is a series of folds called gastric folds. These folds function to help grind and digest food. The inner stomach lining secretes acid and enzyme to break down food. Proximal stomach has elastic walls, so it bends during the temporary storage of food and controls the rate of ingesta into small intestine. The mucosa of the proximal secretes mucus, hydrochloric acid, and proteases. The major enzyme known as pepsin is secreted in an inactive form, pepsinogen, to make sure that it does not digest the cells in which it is produced from. When hydrochloric acid is present, pepsinogen is then converted to pepsin, which also provides the appropriate environment for the enzyme to function at an optimum rate. The total secretion rate of enzymes and mucus depends on the quantity and composition of the food in the stomach, and both controlled by hormonal and nervous system. The digester moves from stomach via the circular muscles in the proximal half of the stomach. Muscular contractions then move the digester from stomach to duodenum.
Small intestine. A thick milky liquid is formed from the stomach contents known as chyme. The chyme mixture is passed through into the duodenum where more enzymes are added. Some of these enzymes originate from the pancreas, as this gland secretes large amounts of bicarbonate salts in the gut. The bicarbonate salts produced by the pancreas neutralizes the acid chyme from the stomach. This allows the optimum levels of pH for the pancreatic and intestinal enzymes. Pancreatic enzymes include proteases such as proteins, lipases for fats and lipids, and amylase for carbohydrates. Intestinal enzymes catalyze the later stages of digestion. The pancreas responds to 2 specific hormones, secretin and pancreazymin. Secretin, stimulated by acid in the stomach, which enables more production of bicarbonate salts, and pancreazymin, which is stimulated by the detection of partially digested food, which enables release of enzymes. Bile is produced by the liver, stored in the gallbladder, and this assists in emulsifying fats. In the small intestine, digestible protein, fat, and carbs are reduced to amino acids, dipeptides, glycerol, fatty acids, and monosaccharides. These components are absorbed, as are the minerals, vitamins, and water. Absorption occurs through the villi, and this increases surface area to volume. This occurs through both passive transport, such as osmosis and diffusion, and active transport, such as pumps. Amino acids and monosaccharides can be passively absorbed, however it can be very limited. Most absorption of these are actively transported through the lumen to the blood lymphatic vessels. Minerals are usually absorbed in an ionized form, and the majority of water is absorbed in the small intestine. Vitamins can be passively or actively absorbed. Fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, are made soluble by bile salts and fat that has been ingested. Large intestine. The remaining contents enter the large intestine. Little of the food and water that was ingested originally reaches the large intestine. The large intestine is capable of taking up water and some electrolytes. It has none of the active transport mechanisms needed for organic nutrients to pass through the lumen. Absorption of water depends on the state of the body. As water is drawn intercellularly, by the gradients determined by the body status. Hormones regulate water absorption such as aldosterone and angiotensin, which regulate kidney reabsorption as well as reabsorption in the large intestine. Bacterial colonies are able to partially digest some protein and fiber residue.
Dogs require a balanced diet in order to gain adequate intake of nutrients that are essential for sufficient gain of energy for normal functioning and optimal health. Water is also a critical component of the diet, as it is vital to the functioning of all living cells. Dogs have no specific requirement of dietary carbohydrate, as they are capable of meeting their own requirements for glucose, provided the diet supplies enough fat or protein from which glucose can be derived. Carbohydrates serve as an important source of energy, are needed for the synthesis of essential body compounds, and where adequately supplied, provide as protein-sparing nutrients. 67% carbohydrate on a dry matter basis is a practical maximum for complete and balanced dog foods.
A feed sample such as ProPlan dry food contains carbohydrates in the form of Brewer's rice, canola meal, oatmeal, and barley.
Dogs need dietary protein to provide the essential amino acids that their tissues cannot synthesize in sufficient quantities. Nitrogen is also provided from dietary protein, which is used for biosynthesis of non-essential amino acids. Both are metabolized for energy or are reformed into new proteins. Proteins have numerous functions. They provide structure for many components of the body. They are a constituent of connective tissue, hormones, antibodies, and body secretions. They are involved in regulating muscle action. Proteins catalyze the body's essential metabolic reactions and provide for nutrient digestion. And proteins act as important carrier substances and contributes to the regulation of acid-base balance.
The minimum requirement of crude protein as suggested by the AAFCO is 18% for maintenance. Our feed sample ProPlan contains 26% crude protein, thus it does meet the dog's dietary requirements.
Fat is included in the diet to provide a concentrated, readily digested source of energy, providing 2.25 times as much energy as carbohydrates and protein, to protect the body against heat loss, to protect the vital organs from physical injury, to transport the fat-soluble vitamins around the body, to improve palatability of food, to facilitate numerous metabolic and structural functions, and to provide essential fatty acids which cannot be synthesized by the body.
The minimum requirements of crude fat is 5% for maintenance with 1% linoleic acid. ProPlan, however, contains 15% of crude fat.
Minerals are inorganic elements that provide no energy but are essential in the diet. They are divided into macrominerals or microminerals. Macrominerals are important for maintaining acid-base balance, fluid balance, cell activity, including nerve conduction and muscle contraction, and structural tissue. Microminerals are components of metalloenzymes controlling biochemical reactions.
The minimum requirements for some of the minerals are listed. It can be seen that ProPlan contains more than the minimum requirements for these minerals. Vitamin. Like minerals, vitamins provide no energy but are needed in minute amounts. Vitamins are classified into two groups, the fat-soluble and the water-soluble. Vitamin A is required for vision, for normal skeletal and tooth development, and for the maintenance of healthy epithelial tissues. Dogs get their vitamin A from converting carotenoids from plant cells to active vitamin A, hence a direct consumption of vitamin A in the diet is not required. Vitamin D has several functions including the regulation of calcium and the phosphorus metabolism, and homeostasis, which is vital for structural tissue, muscle contractions and nerve conduction, as well as absorption of minerals from the intestine. Vitamin D's precursors are synthesized by the body when the skin is exposed to UV light from the sun, or it can be obtained from the consumption of food. When it is needed, biochemical conversions make available the active form of vitamin D. Vitamin E has a chief function in the diet and in the body as an antioxidant that prevents the peroxidation of lipids within cellular membranes. Vitamin E thus prevents the destruction of the structural integrity of cell membranes and prevents rancidity of food. Vitamin E also protects vitamin A and the sulfur-containing amino acids from oxidative damage. The main function of vitamin K is to regulate the formation of several factors involved in the blood clotting mechanism. However, a portion of this requirement can be obtained from bacterial synthesis of the vitamin in the large intestine. The minimum requirements of vitamins for growth and adult maintenance in dogs can be summarized as follows. Vitamin C is required for the formation of collagen and is active in many metabolic reactions involving iron absorption and structural tissue development and repair. Dogs are capable of producing this and thus do not have a dietary requirement for this vitamin. The vitamins contained in our feed sample ProPlan exceed the minimum requirements by approximately 3 times. Our recommendations for propane dry food is that crude fats could be reduced down to 10% content, as well as reducing the vitamins by at least half, as this will reduce costs and increase efficiency while still maintaining the sufficient requirements for small dogs.